Welcome everybody to the K&B Music Den. As always, I'm Brad, and you, sir?
I am your friend and everyone's friend, Keith.
Perfect. That's perfect. So why are we here? Today we're here because our man Ryan Adams released 4 albums this year. Doesn't
What?
sound abnormal, does it? I mean, that's what he does every year now. But so at this point, we're on our third. We've done 1985. We've done Heat Wave. And we're taking it week by week, diving into these. This week we are doing Star Sign. And if I must say so, this seems to be the one being crowned by people, kind of the jewel of the four, and the one kind of people, pushing as the beautiful, Return of Form album. So kind of excited to dig in, spend some time with it this week, and see, is this the one that brings Ryan back to, big time status, or is this just another one of his 8 albums? So, what did you think, Keith? Is this the breakthrough here?
Well, it certainly is touted as such online.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it seems to be the crown jewel of the new four. Now, wait a second though. He put out 4 new albums. It's not even February yet. How is that possible?
So this year might be more than 4. Who knows what's coming?
Yeah. Oh, and then Prisoners Live too, which is a
Oh,
fantastic
it
listen,
is.
kind of its own separate thing there. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. Well, back to your question, my friend. Star Sign to me is a fantastic album, with uh as I wrote down here, astonishingly great songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say though, and I may take some shit for this.
Ooh.
Um, this is not and again, perfect can be boring, but this is not a perfect album. Um, there
Sure.
are some warts and all on this album, like I said about Heat Wave. Um, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There are at least 2 songs on this album, at least, that I think if he were working with an outside producer, any producer worth his salt, in my opinion, would say, "Hey, Ryan, you got to sing the song again."
Okay. I'm curious to see
Um,
what those two are. I mean, I'm fascinated now.
well, they are somewhere here in my notes. Let's see here. Oh, So Lost
Okay.
and the title track, Star Sign.
Okay.
Um, Now you know how you've talked about Ryan going off the rails
Yeah. Yeah.
in certain moments. Well, yeah, man, I just it's kind of tough for me because I would prefer imperfection over, just plastic,
Yeah.
auto-tuned, digitally sounding,
Yeah.
just terrible, just like no soul, no emotion vocals.
Yeah.
So I realize that I am nitpicking. But I feel a little bit better because I did see some other people on the Superfans page and everything mention about, yeah, he sounds like he's singing out of tune on this song. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. um, but that being said, I kind of feel like it's interesting to have all the different eras of Ryan. I mean, an album like Gold,
Yeah.
an album like Even Ashes and Fire,
Mm-hmm.
where it seems like it was painstakingly um, listened to and mixed and mastered, so it just
Sure.
has that beautiful, just you could bounce a quarter off it kind of sound. So I guess you could argue, well, these are him, he's a man on an island here. He's
He
doing this
is.
by himself, which is incredibly impressive. I would never take that away from him. So part of me is like, warts and all for this era of him is kind of cool and kind of indie and kind of
Mm-hmm.
authentic.
Yeah.
But then there's the part of me that's like, oh, something sounds off there. um, so I don't know if you noticed any of that, but that's something that I did want to point out, and I hesitated to point it out, but I mean that's what we're here to do is talk about the album. So
Well, it's fascinating that you mentioned that because those are my at least 2 favorite tracks on the album.
really,
Yeah, it is. So it's not. It's interesting that I was looking at it to see if that's the two you're going to mention
wow,
because those were the two that I wouldn't have, highlighted at this point. Now, that's not to say this album is bad because there's a lot of fantastic
oh,
stuff on here.
oh my
Uh,
gosh,
I mean, you open right up with Self Defense. I
oof,
mean, just goes right into Ryan. I mean, come on, let's be late. It's only self defense against the moonlight. What a beautiful line.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, he's when he wants to write a line, he can write a line. And to
all
me,
day.
that sounded beautiful. Just the way it was played, the way it was opened up. And I thought, okay, this is a great start to this album. So
Yeah, I agree. And I like the way that song starts where it just rolls those few chords in and he
yep,
gets right to the singing,
yep.
don't bore us, get to the chorus kind of thing. But, but yeah, great song. Yeah, I pulled out some lyrics here, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I, there's not I don't really look at any song on this album as far as the writing,
Yeah.
and think, well, this one's kind of dipping off, or this one kind of doesn't hold its own with the others. I mean, straight across the effing board, man. Like all 10 tracks are just like top notch Ryan Adams,
Oh, they are.
which is why I think this one has poked its head above the other three to a certain extent with a lot of people,
Hmm.
us included, at least on our initial ranking.
Sure.
Um, But I know you had mentioned in our first go around where we briefly discussed each of them in that initial video when the four came out. I know you had pointed out the song "Be Wrong."
Oh, and that's still my favorite on the album.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I got that noted here as well. That's still my favorite on the track, even after
Wow.
multiple listens.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a strong. It's near the top for me. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I don't know if I've even actually picked a favorite.
Okay.
Which maybe I should have since we're talking about it. Although I mean, if I'm being real with myself, my favorite is the closing song, "Stay Alive." I mean,
Okay.
it's wow.
Which
Um,
I had that in my top three. So
yeah, and I touched on this when we did the other video, but those lyrics, we do whatever just to stay alive.
mhm.
Everything that you and I have been through in the past several years with the
Yep.
pandemic and health things and just unimaginably tragic losses in our lives.
Yep.
It's just when I hear him sing that and the way he sings it, we do whatever just to stay alive. It's just like, man, it's like he's singing right to us, man.
And I mean, his last couple of years. So I mean, it
Yeah.
makes it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I jotted down the track list here, um, and I just
Yeah.
there's not a weak song on the album.
Yeah. When I say
Um,
Star Sign and So
so
Lost are
lost
my least favorite two, those two songs would still be highlights on other albums for me. You know what I mean? Like that's
exactly,
how highly I regard the songwriting on him. Is his least his my least favorite right now songs are the best songs on a lot of other artists' albums.
exactly,
Fact.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a special cat here.
Yeah.
So the title track "Star Sign," since we mentioned it again, are you familiar with the version that was a bonus track to the Ashes and Fire album?
I to an extent. I wouldn't say I listened to it a lot, and I didn't go back and listen to it either because I didn't want to change it. I knew it existed,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how close this you know was aligned to that one, or if he changed it a lot.
The production is, definitely different. Well, and again, if I'm being frank, on the Ashes and Fire version, it's a better vocal.
But then you probably
Um,
prefer that.
yeah, but I do understand it now. It wouldn't have made sense. The vibe of this album, it wouldn't have made any sense to just throw Star Sign on here with that production in the middle of all this.
Mm-hmm.
Near the end of track 8, actually. But I definitely understand why it's a different version. But I've read some people saying, they prefer the Ashes and Fire bonus track version. If you just took those two songs and had nothing to do with the albums or anything, I would agree with that sentiment.
Okay.
So, you know, I did read someone wrote early on, I think it was just a lot of star sign excitement. Someone wrote that they felt it was already just automatically in their top 5 albums of all time,
Ooh.
everything he's ever done. Um, I can't go that far.
No, I won't go that far.
I can't go that far. Um, is it near the top of these last 8? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
but man, I don't know. To me, that was a stretch, and I'm glad to hear you agree.
I can name 5 right now that I would throw on top of it quickly. I mean, to me, how
Yeah.
many albums does he have out now? I mean, what is his total studio total?
Are we counting Whiskey Town?
No, just
Okay.
his solo. I mean, he's got to be.
Well, geez,
I mean, when you throw these last 8 in there,
it's got to be. at getting close to 30, I
I don't know.
guess. Or maybe
But
no, like 20, 25, 26 around
I
there.
was thinking it was in that area. I mean,
Yeah.
we're idiots for not knowing offhand, but I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many, it's hard to keep up. But
Yeah.
my thing is, I think this would land somewhere in the middle for me because there's so
Okay.
many great albums that I still really just to this day are still like Ashes and Fire took me forever to get into, and that's
Yeah.
still moving up my rankings.
Yeah.
I mean, this wouldn't be in my top 10. Not to say this is a bad album, but
Yeah.
his top 10 is amazing. You know,
Well, I mean, just to say, I will put two of these most recent eight that came out above Star Sign. I'll put Wednesdays in a heartbeat
oh
above
yes,
it.
yeah.
And you know what other one I'll put in there?
You'll put Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Now
I think
I
that's fair. I think that's a very.
yeah.
I would put both of those at the top of it as well.
Yeah, and not by a landslide or anything, but
No.
I think the production on Romeo and Juliet is better than this album.
Mm-hmm.
I think the vocal performances are better. Not to keep beating a dead horse, but
The songs are fantastic on that too. I mean, they're no
yeah.
slouches.
Well, dude, like you know how I feel about that trifecta right in the middle there. Rain in L.A., Poor Connection, and In the
Yeah.
Meadow.
I mean, yeah.
I mean that's one of the greatest triple plays he's ever done.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
This album is fantastic. I mean, let's not take it away. I mean, this is a fantastic album. But
oh, it is, yeah.
when you have people saying this is like in their top tier right now, I can't go there. I can't. His top tier is gold. I mean, and not just the album, but like his.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there's so many great things people can't touch. This is a fantastic album, but to get into that tier is hard.
Yeah, and you know, it sounds like I'm talking out of both corners of my mouth, and I understand that if people would say that in the comments here, but like I like the authenticity, and I like the rawness, and I like the imperfection because it's like, hey, this is just a guy on an island making his art, and like just listen to it, it's beautiful. But there's something to be said for, you know, like I said, if Ethan Johns were in the studio, he'd be like, hey, bro, you got to sing that one again, you know. So I do want to get to some lyrics.
Sure.
Now, Speeding Car is a, you know, one of the tracks that he released prior to leading up, which I learned, excuse me, not what I learned, what I loved. But listen to these chorus lyrics, and I'm going to make a point after I read them.
I got them wrote down too.
Okay, I turn up the music because it makes me want to sing.
Yeah.
Listening to the radio, doing my thing, rolling down the freeway. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this is the best chorus on the whole album.
Which is fascinating to me because, and I you may be right. But if most other artists, even artists that I really like, if they would sing that chorus, if you actually just read those lyrics as reading words off of paper, which I just did, it could come across as kind of trite. No. And, you know, something that is recycled. You know, I mean, how many times have you heard a song about, hey, I'm in my car, I got the windows down, I'm blasting the music, I'm singing along, everything's going to be okay. Like, we've heard that a bazillion times from, like, female pop artists and bands and stuff. But for some reason, the way it fits with the verses and the way he sings it and the way the music is rolling along, you feel like you're in the car. When he does it, for some reason, it's kind of comforting and it's kind of uplifting.
It is.
Which is, that fascinates me because, like I said, you know, honestly, I mean, even a band like Dawes, like if they had this chorus, you know, I'm wondering if you would maybe think, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Listening to the radio, doing my thing. Like, I wonder if you would listen to that and be like, I don't know, Taylor, you know, or would you? I don't know.
Well, the lyrics, you got to keep in mind, lyrics are just words. It's the singing and the inflection and the way you're putting it out there. You took the 1989 by Taylor Swift, you took 1989 by Ryan Adams. And like she said, he gave it whole new meaning. The lyrics were the same, but his inflection, the tones, the way he sang it, the emotion behind it, one way meant one thing and another way meant another. With these lyrics, he sounds very calm, peaceful. We're going to be okay. Like he just went through some shit, but I'm good now. Like, where you could read that in a whole different tone and it would be annoying. So it all depends on who's singing and how they're singing it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's a point I wanted to make. But yeah, I mean, Yeah, because I think maybe the first one or two times I heard that, I was like, yeah, okay. But then I don't know. It just kind of, I don't want to say it grew on me because I didn't dislike it at first. Anyway,
Well,
but
if Tom Petty sang that, it would be a classic chorus. He'd make that so calm and comforting. Something
exactly,
like
yeah,
Tom Petty, you couldn't hate
yeah,
it.
it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
uh, so now I mentioned this that I didn't give exact quote of lyrics in the other video we did with the four.
Mhm.
Um, but on the song Tomorrow Never Comes, which is another standout for me. Um, dude, and I want everybody, you included, Brad, but I want everybody at home
Mhm.
to really listen to these lines. These are the two lines that end the second verse of the song.
Well, these are the ones I got wrote down as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to, well, I'll make sure it's the same one. Do you want to read them?
Yeah, I got a. Let me see if I'm not a great reader. Let's see. Everybody laughs and says their hair is turning gray.
Yeah.
Is that the right? That's the right one.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, just making
Yeah.
sure. We shrug it off like this is going to pass. Yeah, but something in their eyes gets tight, like there's something in the distance.
That's it. You wrote it down
Yep.
too. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that to me, and I mentioned this in the other video, but I will be 50 years old in August. I know it's so hard to believe when you look at me on your screen, folks, but I'll be turning the big 50. And when I hear those lines, there's something in their eyes gets tight, like there's something in the difference. Like I picture myself at a
Mhm.
party, like a birthday party for, a friend's 50th birthday or like
Yep.
a reunion for whatever, where we're all, we're getting older now. And like he says, everybody laughs and says their hair is turning gray. They shrug it off like this is gonna pass. Like,
Yeah.
But like I can sit here and be realistic and say, I have lived well over half of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sobering and
Yep.
but the way he nails that in these lines. I mean, I've heard entire songs, I've heard entire themed concept albums
Mm-hmm.
that did not have two lines like that spoke to me that directly and
Yep.
grab my throat like those two lines do about the aging process and the inevitable.
Well, that's the beauty in being a great songwriter is being able to get a giant punch out of a small amount of words.
Yes,
To be able to say what someone tries to say in a book in one paragraph. If you can do that,
yes,
then you've mastered the writing process.
yes, and here he is. He has. And I keep thinking, man, like part of me selfishly is like I feel like I'm in this special club where only a certain amount of people are paying attention to these albums and only a certain amount of people realize that, like I've said before, this is the Bob Dylan of our generation just with a better voice.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that's what it is.
it is. Yeah.
So, and there's so many people, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There's so many people because of the Me Too bullshit
Mm-hmm.
that just completely wrote him off, never even waited for, facts or evidence or,
Yeah.
it was the court of public opinion that at that time, that topic was so huge. And trust me, don't get it twisted, folks. I'm not saying anything about, I'm not, making light of anything where women are treated unfairly or poorly. You know, I'm a husband, I'm a son,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a father now, you know. So I live with all women. I'm surrounded by women. um, so I have a great amount of respect for them. I just think that he was the sacrificial lamb for all that. He got nailed to the cross of that. And it seems like no one's ever going to let him recover from that,
No.
except for the people that watch these videos and people like you and me that follow the music, give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
He's proud of his sobriety and he should be. Um, he's a human being. He's made mistakes. But he's also made the most incredible music that I'll ever hear in my lifetime.
You're 100% right. Yep.
I'm grateful for that.
I am too. No, and that's the thing. Like you're right. I mean, the whole woke thing. Okay. I mean, it happened. Who knows? I mean, and who knows how bad it was. I mean, the guy's. He's mentioned that he needs. He needed forgiveness. What drove me nuts is when you have other songwriters, and I'm not going to hide it either. Jason Isbell, who
Yeah.
likes to cash in on other people's demises. He's a professional victim, Jason Isbell. I can no longer listen to the guy's music because it's inauthentic. It's completely inauthentic. When you are somebody who will kick dirt on another musician who helped you get sober when you were drunk behind some bar, he came out to get you sober. But as soon as he gets thrown under the bus, You call them all kinds of things. You know, I can't. I
Mm.
have no time for it. No time for it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
Yep.
I think we both finally reached the point, my friend, with all of this where we're tired of mincing our words.
Hmm.
And we're tired of, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, or,
Yeah.
this is how we genuinely feel. Honestly, if anything we say on this video offends anyone, we're incredibly sorry. But the fact remains that you got to be true to yourself and what you believe.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and the thing is, I mean, I mean, if we really put every rock and roll musician on trial for anything they've
Oh
ever done,
God.
and you
There would
would
be no rock
cancel
and roll,
them,
sadly.
or I mean, or and you yeah, and you let's say you wouldn't be able to sell their records anymore in any store, you
Oh,
might as well shut the fucking store down.
yeah.
Because I mean, there's stories, things that the guys in Led Zeppelin did back in the 70s, like things that really you could get thrown in jail for life for. And
Well, it's unfortunate that artists, musicians, people whose job is to create and entertain, for some reason we feel the need to dig into their personal lives. You don't go to the Valvoline or a fucking grocery store and ask somebody how their lives are going,
yeah,
But we peek into these stars, and we feel like we have access to judge them, which judge the art. I mean, that's what you're there for. I mean, you're not there to tell them how they should or shouldn't live their life. I mean, I'm not saying if somebody does something wrong, you shouldn't say, "Hey, that's bullshit. You shouldn't do that." But
yeah, yeah.
the fact that New York Times wouldn't put a hit piece on somebody because it was that time of the year and they needed some clicks. I mean, that's bullshit.
Yeah. And again, nothing ever went to trial, really.
No,
Nothing ever, there were no official charges pressed.
no.
Again, if musicians in particular, but also I've talked about the dichotomy with athletes and the hypocrisy of athletes that have literally had video footage of them beating their wives, which is
Yes,
a horrendous, unspeakable, unforgivable thing to
yes.
do.
And then somehow they get back on the field. You know what I mean?
They
Like,
they waited out a year. They take a year
yep.
off. They let everybody forget about it, and they
And they
come
come
back
back.
and make millions of dollars to catch a ball.
Yeah,
So, and I
exactly.
love sports. I love my sports, but like this guy is making music that is just has meant so much to me
Hmm.
in my lifetime. Has gotten me through things and inspired me, and um, and to just toss him as a human being aside because of, like you said, because they needed clicks on a hit piece.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure there's no way that he's been a Boy Scout and a perfect angel his whole life, and
No, and that's the thing.
he's
I'm not saying the
he
guy's
said
an
as
angel.
much.
He's
Yeah,
probably been a dick at times, but we all have.
yeah,
Everybody's made mistakes. So I
yeah,
think just because he's made mistakes or done something stupid or was an asshole at some point, to just crush his whole life is just silly to me.
yeah,
You should try when someone's down and out to help them up. I mean,
yeah,
not just kick dirt in their face. I mean, I just don't get that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we talk about Ryan go off the rails sometimes. We just went off the rails with all that. But no, you know what? I feel good about saying that stuff and that you did. I mean, I feel like we're getting it off our chest here because we've been, it's something that we talk about a lot off camera and text
Yeah.
about. And we just want it to be fair. We just want it seems like he's genuinely trying. And the other thing, I think a lot of people really are very quick to say, "Oh, he has no respect for his fans, and he's fucking us over with this vinyl and shit." Like, in what world are you going to order vinyl? In the world that we're living in, if you know anything about records enough to order them and want to have them in your house, you
Yeah.
should know that there's months and months delays because there's not enough vinyl pressing plants. This is
That's,
such a commonly known thing.
but he gets kicked in the balls for it. I knew it was coming too. Like,
Yeah. Now I'm sure that whatever plant he's got lined up or whatever his
yeah,
management, I'm sure they told him, "Hey man, we're looking at this point we're looking at mid February,
yeah,
mid January, maybe February." So he puts that up there because that's what he's being told. And then when he gets the inevitable update,
yep.
that it's not going to be till at least spring,
If I,
which is
if I
the
was his
reality of
management
this
at this
world.
point, I would literally just tell him, "Hey, don't put dates on things because like these guys are holding your damn teeth
Yeah.
your hands to the fire each time. Like, no
And
dates."
it's yeah.
Yeah, no, no,
So
no dates.
I
But
just, yeah, I to think that, I mean, I picture a lot of his super fans, and it's like, well, if you're such a fan, like, why are you holding him to such a standard?
yeah,
But like, I picture a lot of these fans now that are like, sitting at home twirling their mustache, and like trying to think of ways to nail them to the wall. And
Yeah.
it's like, come on, man. I ordered those records. I ordered the records. I ordered the three that I missed from the first round because I had FM when I
Yeah.
went to see them in Pennsylvania, in Reading. So I'm waiting on 7 records and a novel, which
Yeah.
I know a lot of other people have gotten the novel in the meantime. I have not, but I'm just being patient.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, I know that there was a book that came out, and the autographs weren't in some of them, or the pictures.
Yeah,
And I can understand being frustrated. They're paying $250 for this, and they don't get that.
yeah,
100% have a right to be upset. I just don't think this is Ryan Adams sitting around laughing, sending books out. Like, hey,
yeah,
I got
yeah,
this guy. I feel like he's got the same luck I do. Like, just everything fucks up for this guy. Like,
yeah,
he's trying to do
yeah.
everything himself. He's got this new management company. He's just, oh man, it's one of those things where it might just be like, Ryan, it's scale it back, man. There's too much. He's trying too much.
Well, and it's a huge
It's hard.
undertaking. I mean, when you're signed to a label, like he was with Lost Highway and different things like that. I mean,
They take care of it.
yeah, they got tons of people that are working on every little aspect, and he's trying to juggle it all himself with very little
Mhm.
help. So I don't know. I just think some grace should be given there. But so we've been rambling on here, but Star Sign really is, I mean, a very, very strong album.
It is.
I'll put you on the spot. Think about oh, never mind. I'm sorry. We still have to do Sword and Stone. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Never mind. We'll get to that. And you know what I was going to say. But so any final thoughts on, let's get back to the album, Star Sign?
Yeah, no, this is a fantastic album, and I guess the acclaim it gets for good reason. There's a lot of amazingly written songs on here, and it's hard to rank albums because with Ryan, there's so many different variations and sounds, and different
Yeah.
people love different sounds from him. I don't know that this is going to be my most listened to album of the 4 that he just came out.
Yeah.
1985, I really found that I enjoyed quite a bit more than I expected. And
Yeah.
Heatwave, I really enjoyed. So right now, of the 3, this is probably the 3rd on my list, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's just based on
Wow.
what I'm going to listen to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, of the 3 so far, man, it's tough because Heatwave is very, very strong.
Yeah.
And even if, with some of the little nitpicky stuff I said in the review of that, the warts and all stuff, so many great songs. I mean, I have to put Star Sign above it though. I mean, there's
Okay.
a 2 or 3 songs on there which I don't think quite live up to the rest of the album. And when you've got 10 songs on this album that are all killer, no filler,
Yeah.
regardless of some of the little nitpicky things I'm saying about the production and things like that in the vocals, it's such a rewarding listen. This album,
It's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. So
Yeah.
far, the 3 albums have been great albums. I'm very happy with each one I've heard so far.
Well, that's the main thing about Ryan too. As we go to wrap this up here, it's great to get 4 new albums, and it's great that they're also different.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, that is so, man. I mean, if you look back on everything he's done, I mean, you look at Heartbreaker, and then you look at Cold Roses is like a Grateful Dead worship session. And Jacksonville City Nights is like a throwback country album, which is still your favorite.
It is. Yep.
And then Wednesdays sounds like, a long lost Bob Dylan album. I mean, gosh, I mean, it's astonishing. It's astonishing. I mean, it would really suck if this happened, but if someone said, look, you can only listen to one band or one artist for the rest of your life, you just pick Ryan because you've got so many different
There's diversity.
styles. Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
He hits different genres, different sounds, and he does them well.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
you're not
well.
giving up or sacrificing anything there.
Yeah. So, folks, thank you for listening to us. We kind of went off the rails a little bit on this one, but some stuff there that's been, an overall picture of what's been going on with Ryan the past few years, and with these albums, and with, some of what we feel has been some unfair demonizing. So, I don't know, man. It felt good to get that off my chest.
It did, yeah. Yeah.
And you're naming people and everything, man. You're going out.
The Jason Isbell thing, man. He used to be someone that I was almost tied with Ryan Adams.
Yeah.
And then his songwriting to me has just been fading. And I just feel like he just kicked dirt. And one of the people who, really stepped up for him. And it just, I can't do that with people. It's like, if I know you're that kind of person that'll just kick dirt in someone who just helped you up space,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, we could probably do a whole video on that whole situation. I'm still a little undecided on how I feel about all that. I mean, I I still listen to his stuff when it comes out. I still enjoy the lion's share of it. Um, I think Southeastern will still always be his magnum
It is.
opus, no matter what he
Yep.
does. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Well, someone could argue with you. I'm not necessarily doing this, Brad, but someone could argue with you and say, "Well, you're asking people to put aside everything else and just judge the music and listen to the music because of the Ryan stuff."
Mhm.
But then maybe you're looking at Jason's stuff and it's your vision or your ears are a little tainted because of how you feel about the person.
Sure, that's possible. It's
Yeah.
this is the person. I'm not telling anybody else not to listen to him. I'm not making a New York. What was that New York Times hit piece on Jason Isbell? I mean, hate people if that's what Jason Isbell wants to do. It's just for me. I'm not gonna. I can't listen to him write songs about loyalty and love and all this shit when I know he's
Yeah.
a backstabber essentially.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. It's something
Yep.
to chew on. Uh, yeah, it's something I'm gonna have to come to terms with and land on one side of the fence or the other. I'm kind of sitting on the fence, wobbling either way, which is kind of wishy washy and wimpy of me.
Yeah.
But I think I need more time to think about that one. But so folks, we have really rambled on this one, but
We
hopefully
did.
you enjoyed it. Hopefully it speaks to you. If you're really I'm a really massive DRA fan like we are, I think a lot of this will speak to you, and we'd love to hear your comments. Agree or disagree with us, respectfully, please.
No,
But
no.
we
I mean, if
hope
you want to call
no,
us assholes, I'm fine with that too.
Brad always says he doesn't care,
No, I don't
and
care.
honestly, I guess I don't really either. um, I'm just trying to be nice. I don't.
Yeah. You're everybody's friend, Keith.
Oh, that's true. It's good and it's bad. But please let us know what you think. Let's circle this back to the point of the video. Let us know what you think about Star Sign. Hey, and we know what's up next, Brad.
Oh, we do.
Sword and Stone.
There it is.
And this
I got high hopes for this one. I haven't listened to it much because of doing all these.
me too, yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's been simmering on the back burner, so I'm anxious to
Yep.
dive into it, see what we come up
Yep.
with. And then I jumped the gun earlier, but yeah, you know what I'm going to make you do. At the end of that Sword and Stone video, I'm going to have you rank all these new 8 albums. So put that on your homework list.
All right, we'll do. We'll do.
All right, so folks, as always, Brad, I am your friend Keith. This is the KMB Music Den. Please let us know what you think of the new Ryan Adams album, Star Sign. Please go back and check out our reviews for the other new Ryan Adams albums, 1985 and Heat Wave. Sword and Stone is coming up next real soon. And we appreciate your support. Like this video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. We will be back soon. And thank you so much for listening. See you guys.